Hi, this is Kevin A. Davis with Paige L. Christie. Paige, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm Paige Christie. I write epic fantasy, feminist westerns with dragons, contemporary fantasy, IP for Valdemar, short stories for various anthologies and charity anthologies, and I have just started dabbling in horror, so I'm kind of all over the map. Yeah.
And the horror is fun, isn't it?
Yeah, I kind of got really angry a few weeks ago and took it out on some characters.
You know, I
With a very specific theme in mind.
yes. And people have said it's so hard to write right now, and I'm like, I'm actually using it as a release. So, you know, go with that easy, deal with it as you can. But for me, yeah, I've got one of my stories is set in 2025 just so that I can vent right there.
hmm
All right.
Yeah.
What projects are you working on presently?
Well, I am struggling with what I normally write because it is really hard to write right now, which is I've got a prequel novel to the series that's in the works that I really want to have out this year. And then I've got another novel that I'm just starting to play with that is going to be a cabal of criminal nuns and pirates doing things with art and mustard. But anyway, uh,
Nice.
and I've got another story for Valdemar on tap, and I'm working on a short story collection based around um, a short that was published in an anthology a few years ago that people keep asking me for more of that world. So I'm putting together a series of shorts and novelette type things that are going to go into kind of a collection around um, this roadside cafe that's run by witches.
That
So
sounds fun.
so I got a few things going on. Nothing's coming real quick right now. And hello, Bits, cat crossing. And nothing's coming real quick right now. I'm under a lot of stress at work and the world's on fire. So I thought, so I'm just doing what I can when I can. And if it's a marketing video or talking to another writer or doing an interview, I consider it writing related and victory for the day. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Good to hear. So you've got a pretty wide selection of genre, but mainly fantasy. Is that your preferred genre?
Yeah, my preferred genre has always been fantasy, and I've always everything I've ever written has kind of had a little bit of an Old West overtone because I grew up watching westerns with my parents, High Chaparral and The Rifleman and the spaghetti westerns with Clint Eastwood. And so I've always really loved that vibe, but I kind of need to put a feminist twist on it all. So it makes it really interesting. And I'm a huge fan of Frederick Faust writing as Max Brand because all of his westerns are like um, mythological allegory and they're utterly so. Always been a huge fan of his. He's been a big influence on me. So, um, yeah, I'm all over the place. But fantasy with that kind of earthy Old West gritty vibe is kind of what I do. I guess Europe has a better word for it. They call it low fantasy. So instead of high fantasy.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it definitely is works as a genre because we get a lot
Mhm,
of, um, you know, different, fantasy styles. But when you're dealing with, something that's more personalized and human and character driven,
mhm.
people can sort of commit to that sometimes. Um,
Yeah.
Everyone has their different tastes. Um, so I've asked a lot about projects, and I know that you're like all over the place. So I was, I know on your plate you've got more than just what you're presently working on. You're working on a whole slew of things.
Mhm,
Um, so but we did mention a little bit about that your outside influences are
mhm.
affecting.
Yeah.
Um, so outside of writing, what else do you get to do to enjoy yourself a little bit, or
Well,
express yourself, or any of that? What else takes up your time other than the cats?
other than the cats who are just in the zone today. Well, I've I'm recently divorced, so I am kind of trying to get back to some of the things that I let fall by the wayside as I was dealing with that. And one of those is trying to get out in my kayak on the lake, which is harder in the
Nice.
winter around here, but I'm looking forward. We're getting into warmer weather, so the kayaks will be back out on the lake shortly. I like hiking. Always been a photographer, a nature photographer, wildflowers, native wildflowers in particular. I really like just spending time with my writing partners and going to cons. Really enjoy that. Where I was growing up in New England, this time of year I would be out skiing every day, but I don't have snow anymore, so I miss that. But that may change someday. But basically outdoor related stuff. And I have kind of a weird obsession with like YouTube videos about like maritime disasters.
Okay.
What's going on with that. But there's some good channels out there, like Brick and Mortar, Waterline Stories. And I try to follow creators who don't use AI specifically to generate their videos because I am very much against the AI thing. So that
But
becomes harder and harder on YouTube. You just got to know who you're talking to.
yeah,
So,
it's so pervasive now. And,
mhm.
you know, I watch so many people that I just never expected suddenly be very promoting of it. And I'm like,
Mitten with it.
and I'm like, it's sort of, eating it, it's going to eat into your business as well. And it is stealing your product as well. So I was a little surprised, but, you know, got a panel coming up on that soon. So I'm looking forward to that discussion. So you mentioned
Yeah.
New England. What part?
Maine.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, where I'm from, everybody's a Southerner.
Yeah.
So, unless you're from Alaska. Um, but yeah, I grew up in a paper mill town in Maine, on at the confluence of two rivers, and that landscape actually creeps very heavily the western mountains of Maine into my work.
Yeah.
The White Mountains of New Hampshire, that whole area,
Yeah.
the Mahoosucs, that shows up a lot in my writing.
Yeah. And
Yeah, that whole
it's
area.
such a gorgeous area. I can understand your
Hmm.
passion for nature when you're given that. I grew up in the Cape, so
Oh yeah.
so you guys were my playground when I got older.
Hmm.
Was to go up into there. So it's just so gorgeous all in that area. But changes as we go along. I'm not sure what it's like now, but
It's
that's
very different in a lot of ways.
yeah,
It's very, very different,
yeah,
but it's still beautiful and it's still home, where it's still where my heart lives, even though I don't haven't lived there in many, many years.
yeah.
So
I've
yeah.
definitely gone back and played tourist in the Cape now since then, just to see it in a different light. All right. So, with your writing,
Mhm.
right now you said that you're a little out of your normal pattern. Let's go back a couple years and go, how did you fit your writing in? It might be some writers listening to this, looking for how do I fit this in with a busy, with work and busy life and and the cats and everything else? How do I get that to work? No, we have three cats and my wife is at a convention right now, so
Oh
I'm
yeah.
in it to the last couple days, and normally we share that, but
Hmm.
no, I'm just it right now, so I completely understand. It's like I'm in the middle of doing this. They're like, we don't care, feed
Yeah,
us,
we don't care.
just
We will now walk upon you and turn off
just
your laptop.
do the
So
things. So, do you have like a structured, I always write at 8 a.m. in the morning, or do I write all week long, or just on the weekends? What was your pattern?
always pretty much chaos. I back when NaNoWriMo existed before it imploded,
Mm.
pardon me. Um, I used to have my own retail business and it was October 27th. And a friend of mine said, "Hey, there's this writing thing, and I know you write and I write, and maybe we should try it." And I said, "I am in retail. Are you insane?"
Yeah.
She said, "It'll be fun." She challenged me to do it. Well, lo and behold, I did it. And the way I did it was I would get home from work, make dinner, take a shower, pour a glass of wine, and at the time, I was living in a 900 square foot house. It was all one room. And I would sit down on the couch with my laptop and turn on Criminal Minds on the TV because I'm one of those people who has to have stuff going on so that I
Uh-huh.
can focus. It's really weird. Um, and I would write from 9 to midnight.
Okay.
And then I would collapse and get up and do it again. Get up, go to work and do it again. And I did that for the month of November, realized I had a story that I actually liked. And we made a pact to continue and set a deadline for both of us to finish the novel that we had started. And we set it for March 1st. And then I would come home every night and do the same thing. But I wasn't trying to get 15 or 1600 words. I was trying to get whatever came out. And so that became my writing time for a good long while. Um, and then the pandemic hit, and my work was frontline, and everything just stopped. And um, I haven't really had a solid routine since 2020. I
Okay.
am catch as catch can. I am, again, if I get 200 words, great. If I get 2,000 words, great. If I make a marketing video, great. If I remember my Instagram login and happen to post something, great. Um, it's it's been a lot of survival mode, and I feel like I'm just like the top of my eyelids are above water, and I'm just starting to be able to contemplate regular practice again.
Okay.
And I finished a horror story in like 3 days, which I never finished a story in 3 days, and really liked it and did a few revisions on it and submitted it today to Apex. And fingers crossed, I'm like 550 in the queue. So there's probably going to be 10,000 entries, but what the heck? Um, so it felt good to get that done. And so I think if writers are watching this, the thing I want to say is just because you're not writing today, or you haven't written this week, or you haven't written this month, doesn't mean you're not a writer. It just means that life is being life, and it will come back, it will come around, it will find you again. Your creativity isn't gone. Things are just, and just don't lose faith in yourself, because it's all still in there cooking, and it'll come out when it's ready.
Yep.
So, yeah, don't
Good.
give up.
Good. All right. Now, do you get a chance to read it all?
Not as much as I would like. I have I used to have a really long commute to work, and I switched to audiobooks because that was the only way I could had time to get anything done. I have gone back to book in hand, actual physical paper books in hand,
Mhm.
um, of late, because I just need to not stare at screens all day. Um, and my commute is now 10 minutes, so it's harder to get an audiobook done.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I used to read constantly, and I don't anymore, but I'm trying to get back to, getting a couple books a month at least. And I'm finding that anthologies and short story collections are really helping me do that, because it's a lot of bang for my small commitment.
Right. Right. And it can squeeze in between, components.
Yep.
So anything you've read over the past 12 months that you'd recommend that,
Oh,
that you
let's
read that you
see.
were like, oh, wow, people need to read this.
There's a really cute um, middle grade book. I love middle grade kids books. Why, you name it, I'll read it.
Mhm.
Um, called Fen Hallow, by T.L. Demons. And it is absolutely adorable. And I enjoyed the heck out of it as an adult. She's an indie author from Maine. I actually grew up with her. And, when you read your friend's work, you're like, oh, I hope I like this. It's so good. And
Nice.
I say that sincerely. It's so good. And she's always been an animal lover. And so it's full of fabulous creatures doing fabulous things. And she's got a creature called an emoticon that's like a unicorn, but it's like an emoji unicorn. It's so, I just can't even explain it. It's so cute. So I highly recommend that if you're just looking for something light and fun and happy. That's a really good one.
Good.
And I'm trying to think what else. Oh, I read Hell at Brooklyn Tea, horror anthology, from a bunch of African American authors, and it's just wonderful. And it's storytelling in a cafe. They go to this tea house, and the demons are there. They have to tell stories to battle the demons. So they're all of the authors are telling stories. It's great. It's super
Nice.
fun.
Nice. Yeah, I've been
So
doing
yeah, I like that one.
a lot of Chuck Tingle lately. I don't know if you get a chance to read some of his
Love
horror,
Chuck T.
but it
He's a
is,
treasure.
and I was reading Grady Hendrix and Chuck Tingle pretty much, through. I think the only thing I haven't got to is Damascus, which I'll be
Hmm.
getting to soon.
Yeah, it's on
But
my list.
so I've been reading more horror than normal, but only because these two people got me. I'm used to read Stephen King, and then I got really sort of bored of it.
Hmm.
It just didn't hit me, and so I stopped reading horror. And then my wife pulled me into Chuck Tingle, and then did the Grady Hendrix, and I'm like, okay, this is more my style, more
Yeah.
contemporary, present. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah. For horror, I've always been a Peter Straub fan more than Stephen King. The only book I've actually ever read that truly scared me was Ghost Story. And his Blue Roads trilogy, I reread that probably every couple of years because it's just a work of absolute genius. And I still try to figure out how he did it. Like I read the words, I'm like, how did you do that? This is amazing. So constantly studying the how of good writers
Yep,
is part of the fun of reading.
it is.
Yeah.
It is. It can sort of ruin it when you're early on, but then after a while, you sort of break through that because you spend so much time analyzing, and then all of a sudden, you just start noticing the highlights where you're like, "Oh, that was really good. I like that. I'm gonna try."
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
so we're
how
running
do you
out of
do
time.
that?
I'm gonna close up with what's your name? I know you do conventions because I've probably seen you there
A few times.
a few times. Um, so what's your next big con coming up? What do you got coming?
My next bigger con is going to be Jordan Con in April. And then I've got two small one-day cons coming up in the next 4 weeks up here in this area,
Nice,
both of which turn out to be Bigfoot cons, which are absolutely hilarious, but they kind of drafted me to come to those, so I'm going.
nice,
And then Con Carolinas. Um, and then I think after that, Dragon Con and Multiverse. So they're the ones I have on the schedule so far.
nice, nice.
Yeah.
So I'll be putting in your links for your the information you gave me for the links, and I'll put that in there. So if anyone wants to follow up on you and stalk you, they can use that.
It sounds great. And I hope to see you at JordanCon.
You will. I'll be over there.
Okay.
You know me.
I know.
So, all right. With that, thank you very much, Paige. I appreciate you coming out here today and giving us a little bit of time. So thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.